Hi YouTube, I'm back, and today I'm going to be working with Polymold. So I'll give you a quick rundown on how I'm using it for this particular project. I know I graced over Polymold before, and what you'll need to use it. Again, these are about $40 and they will last forever. When you get them, they'll be in like these little granulates, and then you can pretty much shape them into whatever it is you want. And the scraps will remelt, which I will show you. So I'll show you how to remelt the scrap and how to remelt or melting the actual balls down themselves. So basically what you'll need is you'll need a container. You'll need a fork or a spoon or something to get your Polymold out because you don't want to stick your fingers in boiling water. This is my boiling pot, which I may have to go reboil because you want the water really, really hot, especially when you are using pieces like this, because it tends to take a little bit longer for them to melt down. Basically all you have to do is you take your Polymold piece, whatever size it is, whatever size thing you have to put it in, put the hot water over it, and wait till it goes translucent. And this stuff, once it is turned into plastic, is pretty amazing. Pretty hard. Not a whole lot. I mean, you can bend it, you can twist it. I haven't had it break on me yet. I used it in a spear for Pearl, one of my cosplays. And as you can see, pretty much the bottom of the bowl is clear. Alright, and there's your Polymold piece. The white piece that I just put in there. Now it's really hot. My hands, however, can handle the heat pretty well, so I usually take it out and just cool it off a little bit by pancaking it back and forth in between my fingers. So now from here you can pretty much mold it into whatever you want. Another thing is, if I want to change the color, sometimes what I'll do is just take a little dab of paint. You don't need a whole lot. Just a tiny little dab of paint. Put it directly on the Polymold when it is in its clear form. And then it's a little bit messy because you get paint all over your fingers. But then you just rub it around, roll it around so the pigment gets evenly distributed throughout the Polymold. This way, actually, when you're doing projects, it's not, you know, the color's not going to flake on you or anything like that. And see how it's already starting to set a little bit? You just put it back in the hot water. Let it get to, and you can let it get to whatever consistency. If it's not completely clear, then it's not going to get quite, it's not going to be quite as hot, and it's still moldable, but it's not like goo form because it is hot plastic. Be aware of that. So it will stick to surfaces. But yeah. And then usually what I'll do if I want a flat sheet is take my rolling pin. Also, wetting your rolling pin or wetting your surface will help keep it from sticking. And this is a really dirty surface. Usually I do this in my kitchen. I clean the surface off. This is my actual crafting table. This is like paint and all kinds of stuff all over it. There you go. It's got just a tiny tint to it. And you can do different levels of tint. This is what I use for my Pearl. This is a leftover piece that I have from Pearl. I've also used Polymold, made some teeth. Really easy to do. I made Polymold belt buckle, basically any props or things like that. So yeah, as you can see, it's already setting. It's already starting to get nice and hard. Again, once it gets actually fully, it's pretty unbreakable. But yeah, when you get it, see, I even created this little scoop because it really doesn't take much Polymold. Matter of fact, you see this one little scoop right here? May need some fresh hot. Again, boiling water. Do not stick your fingers in it. I have made that mistake a couple of times. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh, look, it's finished. Let me just stick my hand in there and fish it out. So make sure that you have a fork or some kind of item on hand to dig out the, hopefully you can see that at least a little bit. It's like clear little plastic. There you go. And you get a little clear little plastic. Looks almost like clear caviar or something. So just that one little scoop. And you can make it thinner, you can make it thicker. Yeah, but this is how much that produced. And the stuff is like really strong, so I know I've actually repaired some things with it as well. My mannequin's one of the things I actually repaired, but look. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck. For the $40, like, this literally has lasted me a year. Ew, looks like snot. It's really nice if you're building something you want to grip in it, because all you have to do is take your hands, wrap your hands around there, then you got a perfect grip of your hands. This looks really weird, but you get the point. There we go. All from what, this is all just one little scoop of those balls. Here's a piece we just did. This one's thin. A little bit thin, but very durable. But the nice thing is, it does have a little give and a little bend when you do it thinner. And to make the teeth, basically what I did is, before it got to this stage, this was my experimental piece. Now be careful if you do this, if you do try it, don't burn yourself. Wait till it cools. You need very, very, very little amount. Usually I just put a little extra in just so I can, like, yeah, this is full. I need some fresh hot. Holy cow, I didn't burn myself yet. There we go. Fresh hot. There we go. This is already starting to set. Now you can use this, like, if you want to do a thin sheet of this over the top, like, you can cut out some foam, some EVA foam, some crafting foam, and then put this over the top of it. Kind of like you do with Warbler, only this is a little bit less expensive. But the only drawback to this is you are hand shaping it, so in order to get it really smooth, you have to be very, very careful. Like, that's why I started using the pin roller, because it gets you a nice smooth surface. Because also, if you do decide to go the painting it route, because I do paint occasionally instead of adding to the actual polymold itself, the paint will pick up on any imperfections that are in the polymold. Oh, there we go. Alright. Again, this is going to be hot. Do not burn yourself. Give it a minute to cool. And then to make teeth. You're pretty much making yourself a retainer is what you're doing. And you want it as thin as humanly possible because you're going to be building onto it. Alright, we'll let that sit for a minute. I kind of bite down. Because again, you don't want to give yourself buck teeth in the end, so you want it as flat and smooth as humanly possible. I didn't get my first set right either. I mean, this takes a little while. It's not like insta teeth. Because after this step, basically it's going to be molding the teeth, the shape of the teeth. Now what I did was I did the fake nails. I don't know if you've been on YouTube, you may have seen the fake nails, but don't use glue. Like, glue could be unhealthy and Polymold reacts to heat. So all you really have to do is take the fake nail, press it on the Polymold, and then you can actually shape the Polymold around the fake tooth. Because also the nice thing about Polymold is if you do a thin enough strip, like this is the one I was just working with, basically I took a bunch of Polymold and I just flattened it out on my counter using this, and then from here I can draw shapes on here and I can cut it out. And it's a nice smooth plastic piece that you're going to get. So for the teeth, what you can do is get yourself a flat sheet of the Polymold. Cut it into whatever shape that you want. As you can see, this is a retainer of my teeth. And then take the little bit of hot, you can use a heat gun, you can use it, just dip it into the boiling water. If you don't let it go totally translucent, it will hold its shape, but it will stick to itself. And then dip it. Then also I'll be cutting this down to more around my gum line. I mean, it takes a few minutes, like I said. Some trial and error is involved. This video is getting really, really long. I apologize. You do that all the way across, and then you don't have glue in your mouth. And Polymold is actually, it says non-toxic, so it says it's safe to do this. I did the research online, and so far nobody's had any, because glue in any sort is never meant to be put in your mouth, so I just suggest this method. And since this is so close onto your teeth, you wind up with a really clean, nice looking teeth. And you can, since you're using scissors to cut it, you can cut it smaller, you can cut it shorter. Basically, you can really, really customize it to your mouth. And like I said, Polymold is pretty sturdy. I'm gonna move the tooth, essentially. And also, you can blend it up in, like, if you let the tip of it go completely transparent, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. Then you can actually blend it up into the rest of the Polymold. And you can use a heat gun for this too, a bloater, because you're not wanting to get it completely overheat. And the shape of your tooth is kind of be on here, so you can kind of line it up with the shape of your teeth. Again, just be really careful not to burn yourself. There we go. And then, again, make another one. I need some more really hot water. Hello. Okay, this is Polymold part 2. I got cut off last time. I got a message. And then also on top of that, my battery died. So, here we go. Finishing off what I was talking about, working with the Polymold and making these teeth. So I continued before I realized that I'd gotten a message. And this is where I'm at now. Making some really weird, funky teeth. So, yeah, basically cut out the shapes, and you can do, if you want to be more precise, you can actually, you know, plan out the size and like draw it on here, because you can draw with marker on these and then cut it out and then put it more precisely on, a little bit more precision. But for the purposes of this video, I was just kind of slamming it together. And then basically once you got your shape you want, get it cut out. Try not to get little pieces to go away either, because they can contribute to a larger piece. I make sure and try to save as much Polymold as humanly possible. Then get some fresh, really hot water. Dip it in. Ew. Don't dip your fingers in. Again, do not burn yourself while doing this. Like it's like translucent. Oh, yeah. Apply it on where your tooth mark is. And then seal it down. Oh my goodness. Polymold part 3. I got another freaking message. Okay, so we're going to try to finish this up here. And then dip it in the really hot water. That's just basically so the under part gets warm as well, because Polymold tends to stick better together when it's like warmed up. And then, of course, you know, just rub it together. Make sure that it's got a good seal. Plus, it also flattens it out a lot. This time, real quick, before I get another freaking message, this is where we are at. And then, once it cools, oh no, it's not quite cool enough, so. Alright. These are really janky because I'm not taking the time to shape them or anything like that, but I like my hillbilly. But custom fit things that owie are pokey. Alright. See ya! Hopefully this helps somebody. We shall see. Enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck!